Hello friends, my name is Vas Solo and this is Why Spirit Matters. The topic of today's video is spirituality and drugs and alcohol. Can you be spiritual and use drugs and alcohol? What do you guys think? Do you guys think that drugs and alcohol uplift the mind and expand our consciousness? Or do they drag the consciousness down and degrade the mind? First of all, I want to say that all of us are on the spiritual path. Every living thing on this planet is in a process of evolving towards a higher state. The difference between a non-spiritual person and a spiritual person is that the spiritual person is taking part in this process consciously, while the non-spiritual person, they feel this need to expand and to grow, but they don't understand why. Second, I want to say that this video is about people on the spiritual path, and I'm not placing a judgment on anyone, especially if you're not on the spiritual path and you drink and use drugs recreationally or for pain management. The thing that inspired this post, in fact, was actually a judgmental thought that I had about someone's post on Facebook. Somebody posted that smoking weed has helped them get off drugs and alcohol. And the thought I had at first was a judgmental thought. I thought, you're just substituting one addiction for another, right? Or one crutch for another crutch. But then my sponsor's wise words came to mind, and he said, Vas, don't judge someone based on where they are in their life right now, because you have no idea how far they've come or what they used to be like. And when I thought about that post from that perspective, it made me realize that the person that's smoking weed now instead of drinking and using drugs has actually made a step forward in their evolution. Whereas for me, if I started smoking weed instead of meditating, that would be like taking 10 steps back. See, I've used drugs and alcohol for many, many years, or I used to use those things, and they did nothing but degrade my body, mind, and spirit. Now, I know some people will say, well, different drugs have a different effect on the mind. For example, people say that mushrooms expand your consciousness or open the doors of perception, so to speak. And they're right. Like, I experimented with those drugs as well. And I remember that using those drugs made me realize that reality is far stranger than we know. But using those drugs never had a permanent effect on who I was. It never permanently uplifted my mind. In fact, I had a lot of bad trips on mushrooms. Whereas meditating, which I've been doing for 3 years now, has had nothing but a positive effect on who I am today. I want to tell you guys a little story which will illustrate how doing something like drinking can have a different effect based on where you are in your conscious evolution. So 6 months into my recovery, I was feeling really, really good. I had finished working all the 12 steps. I felt really connected to my spiritual self. And I had the bright idea of trying to drink again to see what it would feel like. Maybe I can drink again and I'll feel fine. So I went to a wine tasting with my fiance, and drinking actually had a negative effect on my mind. After having a few drinks, my mind became dense, dull, and negative, which is the opposite of what used to happen when I drank before I recovered. Because before I recovered, I was in such a low place that alcohol actually uplifted my mind and took me out of that darkness. But now that I was in a good place, having alcohol pulled my consciousness down. So, can you use drugs and drink on the spiritual path? Actually, the answer is yes, you can. But if you're meditating and if you're living a spiritual life and doing the right things, eventually you're going to lose that desire. Because your spiritual practice will take you to such a high place that your conscious state while sober will be far better than your state when you're intoxicated. So that's all I want to say for today, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like, follow, and subscribe, and leave your comments below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.
All the doors to open themselves.